for this lesson, we're going to talk about mixed number coefficients and negative coefficients. So we've been solving equations like that's a 7, 6/7 x equals 8, right? So we've been multiplying both sides of the equation by the reciprocal of the coefficient. The coefficient is this number right before x. So the reciprocal of this is 7/6, and this times 7/6 because we want to balance both sides, and this cancels out. So now we have x equals 8 times 7/6. Okay. Which is 56/6, which doesn't divide, but it reduces by 2, 28/3, right? So whenever we solve an equation like this that has a mixed number coefficient, we're going to convert that mixed number into an improper fraction as the first step, and then multiply both sides by the reciprocal to balance out that equation and get the variable by itself to figure out what it's equal to. So let's do an example. So let's do solve 5 1/3 x equals 7. Let's try this. Okay, so we want to get this mixed number coefficient into an improper fraction. So if you remember, it's 5 times 3, which is 15, plus the 1, so 16/3 x equals, and then equals 7. And now we have this fraction that we can do a reciprocal of and multiply both sides by to figure out what x is. Oops, I'm doing the original number. Okay, those cancel. 21/16. Does that break down? Nope. Okay, so that is the answer of x. And let me make sure I did this right. 15/16/3. Right, and then 7 times 3 is 21. Okay, so usually we'll leave this as the answer unless we can simplify it. But sometimes we'll need to put it in decimal form. So let's do another example. Solve 4.5 y equals 2 7/8. So on this one, we want to get both of them as improper fractions, both numbers, right? So 4.5 is going to be 9, the same as 9.5, or 9/2. Y, 16 plus 7, 23, right? 23/8. So now we can multiply by the reciprocal on both sides. And we're doing it by this one, by the reciprocal of this one, because we want to get y by itself. We want to know what y is equal to. So y equals, and then we go ahead and we can go ahead and divide these by 2. 4, 7, 23 over 36. But let me just which doesn't reduce, so this is the simplified answer. And one thing that you can do for these, if you want to check your answer, is you can always plug this y that you got back into the original equation to see if this y that you got times this number actually does give you this. So you can always check your work with the answers that you're getting for your variables. So to solve an equation with a negative coefficient, we either multiply or divide both sides by a negative number, since the coefficient needs to be positive. So, like this, well, hang on. Let me do, so like this one, sorry, that's 136. Oops, that's not a 6. So this equation, this coefficient is negative, and x is not negative because otherwise it would be like this. And you know, for the rules, to get a positive number on this side of the equation, you have to multiply two numbers that have the same sign. So wait. Oh yeah. So earlier I said that x needs to be positive. That's not correct. So the same sign for negative would be a negative number here, which is 4 times another negative number here to make our positive 136. So let's go ahead and figure out what x is. So one thing, or there's two ways we can break up this equation. Let me rewrite it. 4x equals 136. So we can just divide by the negative 4 on both sides, right, to cancel out that 4 and get x equals negative 34. Or we can do the reciprocal, oops, like I've showed you, because these are the same as over 1, or even negative 4 over 1, or ninja 1, because all numbers divided by 1 are the same number. So we can multiply by the reciprocal, which is negative 1/4 on both sides. So that would cancel out and give us x equals negative 136 divided by 4, which is still negative 34. And then, so like I said earlier, you multiply two numbers of the same sign. Oops. So negative 4, and we got our x as negative 34, which gives us that positive 136 on this side. Okay, so let's do an example. Actually, let me check that. Math. Okay, let's do another example. Let's do solve negative 1/3 x equals 2/5. Okay, so since we're getting x by itself, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal on this side of the equation. So negative 3 over 1, which is the same as multiplying by negative 3 times 1, negative 1 over 3, x equals 2/5 times negative 3 over 1. So all of these cancel. We have x equals negative 2 times negative 3 is negative 6 over 5. So this is going to be our answer simplified. Did I do this right? Yeah, okay. Negative 6 over 5. Just checking my math. So let's do another example. Let's do solve negative 7x equals 0.28. So on this one, go ahead and divide by the negative 7 or multiply by negative 1 over 7 on both sides. But we will leave this in decimal form. Which gives us negative 0.04. If you happen to know that this is the fraction of negative 1 over 25, you could do that. But you can just leave it in the decimal form. They are the same answer. In my opinion, I think it depends on the teacher that is teaching you, because they can always plug this into a calculator and check. But that's all that I have for this lesson. Let me know if you have any questions.